Milford Inlands Wetlands Commission, calling to order the regular meeting for the agency for March 19th, 2025. So could you please call the roll, noting that Rajit Bahave and Brian Black are absent this evening?
Daniel Bedecker.
Here.
Jim Connors.
Here.
Matthew Connors. Steve Munson.
Here.
Nick Ritchie.
Here.
Julie Valvo.
Here.
Buddy Field.
Here.
Ray Gradwell. Brendan Magnan.
Here. Thank you, Lisa. Commissioners Field and Commissioner Gradwell, could you please serve as alternate commissioners this evening in light of
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, as we start the meeting, in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the City of Milford website. We're streaming live on YouTube as well. As always, if anybody would like to speak, please wait to be recognized by the chair. And once recognized, please, for the applicants, please state your name and address when you're first speaking to us for the record. And of course, we're only here to speak towards the jurisdiction of the Milford Inlands Wetlands Agency, so zoning issues are not under our purview. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to unmute themselves and join me by standing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Mary Rose can show the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To
the
flag of the United States of America
and to the
republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
God,
God,
as well as
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. If everyone can return your microphone to mute. I'd invite anyone from the public wishing to address the agency on topics not otherwise on the agenda. Is there anyone here wishing to address the agency on topics not otherwise on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item D1. Mary Rose, could you introduce item D1, please?
This is IW 25007. It's 708 Boston Post Road. It's a proposal by the Learning Experience, also known as TLE, for the construction of a daycare facility with parking, playgrounds, and a compensatory storage area, and grading and work within 150 feet of a wetland or water course in the Weppawag River watershed. There are no wetlands on this property. The proposed work is within 150 feet of wetlands on the City of Milford property, adjacent to the east along the Weppawag River. And there are some wetlands to the north on the adjoining rear property. The applicant revised the site plans to address the city engineer's 219-25 comments. Those revised plans and the city engineer's memo of 3/12/25 are in the meeting documents link. There are several items noted in the city engineer's memo that the applicant has stated they will revise as they prepare and work through their zoning review. At our February 19th meeting, the agency had questions on snow storage plan. The snow storage areas are identified on both sides of the proposed dumpster enclosure on the site layout plan, which is sheet 5 of 12. This evening, Mr. Chairman, we have attorney Tom Lynch, Tim Kuhn from J.R. Russo and Associates, and Eric Spungen to answer your questions.
Thanks, Mary Rose. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for the record, Thomas Lynch with the law firm Lynch, Trimbicki, and Boynton. My office is located at 63 Cherry Street. And I'm here on the Zoom tonight with my client, Eric Spungen, as well as Tim Kuhn, our project engineer. If you recall from the last meeting, there were some questions that the commissioners had raised during our presentation, as well as comments from Greg Podlusky, the city engineer. Tim has revised the plans to address all of those comments. I think that, as Mary Rose noted, there was a respondent memo from Greg that basically said that the revised plans met his concerns, and any other minor things, as he calls them, technical in nature, can be amended as we go now on, hopefully after tonight, onto the zoning process. But Tim is on the Zoom here with us, and he's going to summarize the changes that he made to the plan, and then we'll ask for your consideration and a vote on this. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I would share my video, but it doesn't appear to be working.
Hold on a second. I can allow you to share. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think he was trying to share his video.
Yeah, well, my video is not working, but I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
You don't need to look at my ugly face anyway. I will.
Tim, can you just introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes. Tim Kuhn with J.R. Russo and Associates, professional engineer. We're located in East Windsor, Connecticut. And now I'm. Well,
Tim, I can share the,
you know what? Yeah, that might make it easier because I'm having a tough time with this computer at the moment.
all right, what sheet would you like me to start on?
Why don't you start on the utility plan, which is sheet 7, because I think that'll kind of summarize everything.
A second. There you go.
All right. So just to summarize, as Mary Rose indicated, we did identify some snow storage areas. What we did was we did reduce the size of the dumpster enclosure, which is at the north end of our parking area. And we've eliminated the curbs on either side. And then we've identified the areas on both sides of the dumpster enclosure for snow storage. One of the other revisions that we made to address the city engineer's comments is we did raise the finished floor of the building a foot. And of course, we had to modify the surrounding grading, proposed grading, to accommodate for that as well. Really didn't have much of an impact on the layout or any of our activities. With regard to the drainage, we did do some minor modifications to the drainage. The water that we were collecting and running through our water quality unit was initially going directly to the basin in the northeast corner of the property, and we've now redirected that to the basin in the northwest corner. And one reason we did that is we went out and did some soil testing and determined that the soils in the northwestern area were actually suitable for infiltration. So that basin has been redesigned to be an infiltration basin, so we can recharge the runoff back into the ground in order to meet the town's requirements for no net increase in stormwater volume. And then that will obviously overflow to the basin in the northeast. One other thing that allowed us to do is reduce the amount of activity and grading around that northeast basin, so we no longer will be disturbing the mitigation plantings that were put in during the prior development. So there's no need to replace those anymore because the original ones are going to stay. We also added a construction entrance and we modified the catch basins to include 4-foot sumps and added an oil trap hood to our catch basins as well. So that's really the pertinent items to address the city's engineer's comments. I believe we have addressed them all. And as Tom mentioned, there were a few minor items listed in his most recent memo, which we are happy to accept these as conditions of approval to address those. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Mr. Kuhn. Any questions from the commissioners? Mr. Connors?
No.
I just want to clarify something, Mr. Kuhn. As for the letter from the city engineer, the recommendation section where he lays out recommendations A through E,
Yes,
Is that what you were just speaking to, that you've addressed all of those?
yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay, good. Thanks for confirming that. And it sounds like, by way of acknowledgement to your point about not having to replace the mitigation plantings, you simplified the approach, so that seems like a benefit. So there's no additional potential risk there. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
We've actually, removed some of the activities over there, so now our activity is even further away from the wetlands.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I have one. Where are they putting the snow removal?
Yeah, if you want to, I don't know if you can zoom in, but as I mentioned, it's going to be up adjacent to our proposed dumpster enclosure. We've eliminated the curb now so that they can push snow up into the areas on both sides of our dumpster enclosure if need be.
I'm sorry, Mr. Coons, was that on sheet 5 or just sheet 7 of 12?
It's shown on all sheets, but it's called out on the layout plan on sheet 5. If you want to see where it's actually called out for snow storage. Up by the dumpster pad, yeah.
Not showing.
Is
I
that
did
snow
see it.
storage
I
area
did see it
just for the
earlier
new
today.
parking area, or is it from the existing building also?
If need be, I would imagine the snow could be moved there from the existing building as well. They have a little.
I don't think you have room enough.
Yeah, well, they have a little more room than we do in their islands and around their dumpster as well for their snow. And
What
again,
other dumpster are you referring to, Mr. Kuhn?
so I'm calling out snow storage on both sides of our proposed dumpster. And then with regard to the existing site, they appear to have some room around their dumpster enclosure as well for some snow storage. And just to mention that our parking calculation does show that we will likely have an excess of parking. So in the rare event that we need to leave some snow in a parking stall, that is a possibility as well.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Mayor Rose, is there anything else you would like to add?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Coons, we typically in areas where we've got a stormwater treatment, which you have in your designed into your system, we request that you put up a sign that says no snow storage or push right next to the basins, because it's a great idea to just push the snow into the basins and get it off of the pavement and out of the snow storage area.
Yep.
And then it's not receiving pre-treatment. So the agency in the past has asked for, in pavement areas that there be a no snow storage, no push, snow push by the basins where you can access them. I realize you're going to have a row of trees here, so it's unlikely they'll do it there, but it might be a nice reminder where you've got the break for access for cleaning.
I'm okay with putting up a sign to that effect.
I'm trying to get to the landscape and plan.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah, there is a row of pines that will protect it to some degree.
Right. And there'll be no store, so you would want one through you, Mr. Chair. I would recommend one at least here and here, so that they can push it to either side of the dumpster, although these plantings might be negatively impacted, but not right over into the basins.
Great. Thanks, Mary Rose, for this suggestion. We can add that as a condition. Any other suggestions for consideration? Sounds like we're preparing to least I would assume we would be in favor of approving this, given the modifications and the city engineer's report. Just thinking about this out loud, any other additional considerations that we want to contemplate in the course of reviewing the standard conditions? Is there anything else we think is pertinent here?
Through the chair, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
On the compensatory storage area, I think to Mary Rose's point on placarding some of the improvements on the site, such as stormwater management features, is it pertinent to placard the compensatory storage area, because it is important to flood storage downstream or flood storage in adjacent to the area to make sure nothing gets stored out there. No, like yard debris gets stored out there, or nothing, of any sort of anything that would take into account or take up volume of storage that has been designed by these folks. And this looks like a better application than what they presented a couple weeks ago, based on the city's comments and then the responses. But is there any thought on that, placarding the compensatory storage area to make sure it doesn't become a storage area for anything else but flood?
It's a great question, Mary Rose. What do you think?
I think that's reasonable. I don't know. We haven't done one of those before, but I think it's a good idea. We've recently had several applications in flood zones where you want to make people aware that, they start putting random stuff here or extra toys over here, and we have a flood over the weekend. We're going to be pulling them out of the pond by City Hall later on. So, it could be a combined placard, or it may be just, a placard here and a placard here saying, compensatory flood storage area, no deposition or storage.
Yeah. I think the applicant probably can come up with some verbiage for that. I don't know. I'm not speaking for the applicant, but I'm sure they could.
Mr. Kuhn, your response?
I'm sure we can think of something to put on a platter.
Okay. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gregwell. Great point. Ms. Davo, do you have anything to add in regards to the considerations for the conditions? Anything? Mr. Monson, Mr. Bedecker, Mr. Ritchie?
I'm fine. I think it's a good plan.
Great. I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we
I'll
approve.
second it.
Great. Who wants to read the motion? We do have our customary conditions. Before we read the motion, let's talk about those. The ones that we just talked about need to be added. So signage for the no snow storage or push. Also, there's a consideration around the erosion and sedimentation controls that we need to address, making sure that there's weekly inspections in the event of a significant precipitation event or a flood. So who's got the draft motions and who's ready to read those?
I have it, and I'm happy to read it. I think I might need some help with adding the additional.
Great.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I can suggest something to the effect of signage for compensatory flood storage area, no material storage, to be submitted for review by the applicant.
Say that again, Mary Rose?
Signage for compensatory flood storage area, no material storage, to be submitted by the applicant for review. And typically a condition like that, we'd ask that they submit that before they take their permit out. So we have a chance to look at it before they start working on the project in the ground.
That's fine on our part. So
Thanks.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, after duly considering all relevant factors, I move to approve application IW 25007 at 708 Boston Post Road based on the plans entitled Site Plans 830G. Oh,
You're right.
I have the wrong.
That's the wrong
I have the
one.
wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I printed the original that you had sent, I guess. I'm sorry.
No, I have an error in mine. I had re-put the that is the wrong one. Hold on, I will read, if Mr. Chairman, if I can read in the
That was left over from North Street.
Yeah, as I was reading it, I apologize.
Deja
So-
vu.
I will read you the citation for these plans. It is the Learning Experience Academy of Early Education, 708 Boston Post Road, Milford, Connecticut, 06460, by J. Russo, Surveyors and Engineer. We've got cover and cover in 12 sheets, revised 2/13/25.
I'm not sure that's the most recent revision.
That's the site plans. No, that's right. It was 3/3/04/25.
Yes, correct.
I was going to say we had a March
Yeah.
revision. Yes.
Right. My apologies.
I don't have the right one in front of me. I'm sorry.
The remainder of the conditions are correct. It was the site for the citation for the site plans was incorrect.
Okay, then the conditions are correct.
The conditions are correct.
Starting with the permittee must submit a construction plan prior to taking out the permit.
Mhm.
Okay. Should I just start from there?
Yes, please.
Okay. With conditions including the permittee must submit a construction plan prior to taking out the permit. Soil erosion and sedimation controls as outlined on the plans and in the Connecticut DEEP 2024 erosion and sedimentation control guidelines must be installed and maintained on the site until the property is stabilized. Wetland notification to be placed on the as-built to give notification to property owners that permits are required for MIWA to work on the site. Documentation to be submitted to the MIWA office prior to bond release. Compliance with the city engineer's stormwater requirements. Stormwater treatment must be installed as approved on the plans unless any changes are approved in writing prior to making that change. The operations and maintenance manuals for the stormwater collection and mitigation systems are to be prepared and recorded on the City of Milford land records with the property documents. The owner person responsible for the erosion and sedimentation controls must do weekly inspections and within 48 hours of a significant precipitation or flooding event, which is 1.5 inches in a 24-hour period. Issues noted with the erosion controls must be addressed within 24 hours of the inspection. A permit condition bond to be calculated must be posted with the MIWA for S&E controls and an as-built showing finished 2-inch contours and locating all site structures. A mitigation monitoring bond to be calculated must be posted with the MIWA prior to site disturbance for mitigation plantings in the upland review area, and a minimum of 3 years of mitigation monitoring by a professional wetland scientist with reports to the MIWA twice a year for a minimum of 3 years. Report to include the status of the site and any recommended corrective actions, including invasive species control or amendments to the mitigation plan for best stabilization of the site. If there is recommended corrective action, there must be an inspection and a report by the professional wetland scientist within 1 week of the corrective action being taken. If the site has not met the criteria as outlined in the plan by and at the end of year 3, this bond may be held for an additional 2 years or until such time the site meets the design criteria, whichever is later, with reports continuing twice a year to confirm status. The permittee must submit a certification by the project engineer that the completed project meets the design intent of the approval prior to bonds being released. The permit is issued 2/19/25 and expires 2/19/30, or should I change that date to 3/19?
Yes, please.
3/19/25 and expires 3/19/2030 unless otherwise provided by statute. There will also be submitted signage for snow storage indicating no push, signage for compensatory flood storage area with no material storage. And this is to be submitted by the application for review. That is my motion.
Thank you, Ms. Valvo, for the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who
Who's the
seconded?
second?
Buddy seconded, I guess. So
Okay, Mr. Field seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please.
Motion was read with a request for mitigation bonding, I believe.
I don't think that's applicable.
Okay, I don't believe that's
I
applicable.
think that was a Scrivener's error.
That was most definitely a Scrivener's error.
Right. I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation, but yeah, that was going to be my observation. The other thing I would look for an amendment to the main motion to acknowledge that this action will not have an impact or an effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and watercourses. That is essential rationale that we need to apply as part of our decision-making process, and I believe that to be factually the case. So I'd entertain a motion to amend the motion to include that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to amend the motion as stated by you.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Valvo. Any discussion on that motion, the amendment to the motion? Hearing none, Lisa, roll call vote.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Nick Ritchie,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Raymond Gradwell, Ray,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Thank you. Back to the amended motion, the main motion as amended. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Lisa, roll call vote.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Nick Ritchie,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Ray Gradwell, Brendan Magnan.
Aye, the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Lynch and team, good luck with your project.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the consideration. And I think this is a well-designed site plan, and it's going to result in a beautiful building on that property. And that in conjunction with the dental oral surgeons building, there's going to be two beautiful buildings on that site. So thanks for your consideration and approval of this. And we move this on to zoning now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, all the board members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming before us. Moving on to item E. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from March 5th regular meeting as amended? I'm sorry, as presented.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion, just thanks again, Lisa, for a great job writing up the notes.
No problem. You're
Well
welcome.
done. Okay, hearing no discussion, Lisa, roll call vote.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Nick Ritchie,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Ray Gradwell,
I'll abstain from that one. I wasn't there at the meeting.
Sorry, Mr. Field, I believe you need to abstain.
Okay, I abstain.
and Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Great, thanks. Motion carries. Mary Rose, staff report.
My apologies for the errors in the mailings. It's been a wee bit of a busy week, and that one got by me. The other updates are actually in my notes. We sent out commissioner synopsis. I've gotten them back from several people saying, no change, we're good. If the rest of you could, if you haven't contacted Taft or I, if you could let us know if you need anything changed on your synopsis or if it's good to go, and we will post it to the webpage. Speaking of the webpage, the city is upgrading. They're keeping the same company, but they're upgrading their webpage. The whole webpage will, lucky for us, change on April 2nd, the day of our next meeting. So just, you may want to download any documents you want, or at least look at them before the meeting. I'm not sure how smoothly that transition is going to go. And I can't fix that in the middle of a meeting. Our draft annual report for MS4 is on the city engineer's webpage. Comments have closed, and that final draft will go to the state of Connecticut for its April 1st deadline. The link is in my notes from last meeting, and I believe it's still in these notes. Yukon Clear just noticed that they're hosting an in-person land use commissioner training session. It's going to be on a Saturday, April 11th, up at the Yukon's Middlesex County Extension Center. It's Saybrook Road in Haddam. It's right off of Route 9. It's a little pretty center. There's some nice spots to walk around on it. And the notes tell you what sessions they're focusing on. Some of it's fundamentals for reading plans. Other is talking about the different mapping products that are available online through Connecticut Eco. Connecticut Bar Association Planning and Zoning Section Land Use Commissioner Training is this Saturday. It is all day. It is 9 to 4:30. And as typical, it's either going to snow or be the perfect, beautiful day to be inside. A hurricane preparedness workshop will be held on May 7th at Jonathan Law High School by the Army Corps of Engineers and the Connecticut Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Our meeting on May 7th will be canceled to allow commissioners to attend that meeting. In my notes, there's a link to register. You don't have to register, but I guess the Corps and Demis is providing refreshments, so they want to get a number of people to provide those for. It's from 5:45 to 8. I don't believe you need to stay there the whole time. I think there's going to be booths and speakers. I haven't heard how that's quite going to run right now. The workshops are meant for town officials, homeowners, and businesses, basically to raise awareness of the risks and threats from hurricanes and things to do to keep folks safe. Other than that, we have been rather busy. It's spring. A lot of calls for folks to come look at trees and things that may or may not be in a wetland that they may need to deal with. The other training and other things are still in my notes if you need them. And does anyone have any questions for me?
Okay, hearing no questions, moving on. Chair's report. Thanks everybody for your participation this evening. And welcome back to Mr. Field.
Thank you.
Nice to see you back. Let's see. I think that's it. The only other reminder is the next meeting will be
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Had to think about that. Via Zoom. Please, as always, let Mary Rose or Taft know if you're unable to attend. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Second. Made and seconded. Lisa, roll call vote. Mr. Gradwell seconded. Mr. Connors made it.
Dana Bedeker,
Aye.
Jim Connors, Jim, Steve Munson,
Aye.
Nick Ritchie,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Ray Gradwell,
Aye.
Brenda Magnan.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.
Good
Sir,
night.
You too.
Thank
See
you,
everyone
everybody.
again.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Lindsay, we're all done.
Night.